We have today a lesson about social justice. Social justice is an application, of course, of the seventh commandment about how to respect the property of other people. But now it's more about how the government should handle the relationship between the citizen and between the public and the private. You have different forms of organization of the society. Some are more communist, some allows private property. And let us see what is right, what is good, how we should do it. Actually, on this image, you see a kind of happy family. They are happy because they have their home, they have their own place, their own things. They can develop their own compound, and they live together. In their own. And naturally, the government should protect the rights of private ownership. Citizens are most contented when they have some property to call their own, on which they can depend for the necessities of their families and for maintenance in their old age. Problems of peace and order increase with the increase of people who have no property of their own to think about. Something is wrong when a country's wealth is in the hands of a limited few. Everyone should be owner of something, however little. Now, let us go deeper in that. What teachings of the Church related to social economic matters are based on the 7th and 10th commandments? The Catholic Church has what we call the social teaching. Now, don't look on internet today, because if you ask on internet social teaching of the Catholic Church, you will have just some modern things that are not the real social teaching, okay? If you want to get the traditional teaching of the Catholic, social teaching of the Catholic Church, we have to go back to Leo XIII and the Pope up to Pope Pius XII, who have developed the social teaching of the Catholic Church. Leo XIII has written an encyclical, Rerum Novarum, in 1891, where he is giving the principles of the social teaching of the Catholic Church. Now, social justice is the exercise of God-given individual rights taken in relation to the common welfare. It means all of us, we have a right of property, but how do we relate that with the common good of society? What is the relationship between the right of the government over the country, over the land, and the private rights of the citizen? The Church has one goal, that is the sanctification of the souls, not directly to speak about politics and economy. But because the sanctification of the souls is linked to our living conditions, the church has something to say about the organization of society in order to protect the human nature and to allow people to grow in peace, in a good order. In this principle, the moral and economic spheres merge. It means there is morality in economy. You cannot just do whatever you want and say, oh, this is business, this is economic welfare. In economy, there is no moral. Of course, there is a moral in economy. And moral and economic are merging. The church is giving some moral principles to enunciate the application of equity, of justice to certain matters, like relations between employer and employee, between rich and poor, between individuals and groups. A person has obligations toward his fellow men. This fact is fundamental and immutable. If he fails to observe the obligation relating to the social economic side of life, he sins against the 7th and 10th commandments. We are created equal, all being made to God's image, all destined for immortality. We have an equality of goal. We have all the same dignity to be called children of God and to be destined to go to heaven. But we are not equal in everything materially. Some are more clever, some are less, some are very strong, some are weak, some are very healthy, some they have the sense of business, some they don't have. We are not equal materially. We are not equal in intelligence, in will, in gifts, in skills. There is a variety. And today the world is preaching a kind of equality that is not right, that is not realistic. Even if we were to share all the money equally in Kenya, take all citizens, take all the money of the country, all the lands of the country, and you give everybody the same amount of land and money, after 10 years, you will be back to what it is presently. Because some people are not able to handle property. They will give their land to get a bottle of changa, and it's finished, okay? Not everybody are able to handle private property. The same way. Everybody has a right, but not everybody has the same wisdom, the same sense of business. And even if we were to distribute equally all resources, after a few years, it will be back to what it somehow, maybe not as much as, of course, because I think now we have a kind of high concentration, but it will still go back to that, because it has always been like that. It has always been like that. But it is not virtuous. There is something too much. There is a human greed. Some people who are rich should not be so rich. It is too much. And this is where we can see greed. This is where the social justice is telling, yes, private property is okay, and that some people have more than some other one. This is the reality, because we have different gifts, but there is a limit to greed. It should not be unlimited, you know. And now we can have, some people can have too much. And we should not allow, maybe, so much concentration of wealth. A person must not exploit the inequalities, taking advantage of those less fortunate. This is where it becomes wrong. If someone is more gifted, let him succeed in life, okay? But he should have the care to protect also the weak one and to help them to succeed also reasonably in their life, and not to take everything for himself because he can have the monopoly. The most important documents summarizing the attitude of the Church on social justice are the papal encyclicals Rerum Novarum of Leo XIII and Quadragesimo Anno of Pius XI. These encyclicals have formed the basis of many an existing political doctrine on social justice. If we would follow the teaching, we should not be continually violating these commandments, causing jealousies and enmities among different social classes as among nations. Social justice defines not only rights, but duties as well. It enunciates principles regarding labor and capital. It defines rights of living wage and of private ownership. Pope Leo XIII said, it must be within man's right to possess things not merely for temporary and momentary use, as other living things do, but to hold them in stable and permanent possession. The Pope says it is normal for a family to possess its own land, its own house, and not to rent it, that you can have stability and security for your future. And not only your house, but also some properties that can generate your permanent incomes or at least your food. And actually, the world of today, if you follow, are more and more a totalitarian world where they want people to possess nothing, but to rent everything. And you can see this is a trend. They are telling you you should not own a car. When you need it, you can take an Uber. You should not even possess your own property. That lets big people make a lot of money renting you every month your house. This is how they want to organize the society. They even go further than that. They don't want you even to possess your own money. What they are doing very currently now in Europe is to establish a kind of numeric currency that belongs to the state or to the European Union, where maybe you can be paid your salary, but after 1 month, these monies disappear if you have not used it. In order that you are totally dependent on the system and you cannot even have your private saving, because this money could have a lifetime. It's a numeric one. You can say, okay, after 30 days, it will disappear from your account, because this is your money for the month. When the month has elapsed, there is a new month, a new money, but no saving. Because saving is independence. Independence is freedom, and this freedom can allow you to make your own decisions. And that is not the interest of the totalitarist people who want to control you. And if you have money and freedom, you are not under control. But now if you have no saving, you have no personal wealth, you don't own your house, you don't own your car, you don't even have your personal savings, you are totally dependent of the government. If the government decides to disconnect you, you are socially dead. And this is where they want to go, actually. And you can see this social teaching of the church is something very, very important today to defend the right of human being, actually, to have private property, to have security, to have a bit of autonomy and independence, that you can keep a certain freedom that is good and according to God. What we can see today is, of course, more and more concentration of wealth in very few people, few organizations who want to extend their power, their control, their wealth, and without limits. And this is pure concupiscence of pride, power, possession, control, and it's leading to a society that is more and more unjust, with more and more poverty, with very few people extremely rich, and most of the people struggling for life with a minimum that they cannot revolt. If you give them something, Netflix, that they can be busy at home watching TV, and be under control, actually, through TV and media. This is the kind of society we are going for, at least in the Western countries. Of course, here we are more protected, but these things are coming a day or another day, they are still coming. They are on the way. Let us try to give the principle of economic life. From the moral point of view, the purposes of economic life are the following. God-given resources, such as those of the land, as well as human skills, must be developed for the benefit of God's children. We have received the creation from God, and we have to develop it. This is what God told to Adam, to cultivate the earth, to develop it. This is good. Even today, you have an ideology that says that man is the enemy of the planet. We are the predator. We should not cut trees. We should not eat animals, because man is the most dangerous predator in this world. Of course, something is true there, but something is wrong. And what is wrong, it's, for us human beings, we have been given the duty to organize this world with wisdom, not with greed. It means it is right to cut trees when they are mature, you know. It is right to control the population of animals and to to raise them for meat and to hunt them for food. It is right. Some extremists today, they want people not to eat meat at all because it is, we should not kill animals. And the next day they will tell you, you should not kill a plant, you know? Now stop eating, please, because you are eating plants and animals, and they are living beings, and you have no right to kill them. They will tell you that one day. And they are already telling you that. If you have babies, you are inconscient because these babies are consuming too much oxygen, you know, or I don't know what. This is where we go, where we consider man as a predator on earth and someone who should not, who is dangerous for the planet. No, God has given to man the right to control, the duty to control this planet. Yeah. Of course, it's not wise maybe to overkill some animals, you know, and now they disappear. That is, of course, a lack of wisdom. Or all these things about climate, where you have this exaggeration about it. It's a lot of pride, actually, to think that we have such a big influence on a so big system, you know. I think we overestimate totally our capacities. The motive of profit must always give way to the motive of the moral law. It means profit is not the last ultimate law. It's not because you are in business that you can do everything in order to make money. We have to respect morality. And so many people have no limits. They can kill, lie, cheat, steal. In order to make money, for them it's okay. No, you are not allowed even to lie in business. You have to say the truth and to be honest. God's gift should be distributed in an equitable manner. The world today is always speaking about equality. For us, we prefer to speak about equity, because equality is all of us to have the same amount of money. But that is pure equality. But that doesn't reflect what we are, because we are not equal. But equity is to say everyone should receive what he deserves. And maybe we don't deserve all the same thing, because we are different, because some are working very hard when some others are sleeping at home. It's normal not to have the same amount of money in the bank account. Equity will tell you, this man, maybe give him charity because he is a man, he needs to survive, and he has the right to receive some charity, but he has not the right to receive the same salary than someone who is working. But still we should distribute everything in an equitable manner where everybody can have his own private property, ideally, where he can live with his family. and develop a good life for his family on his own land. Everyone should be provided with useful employment in accordance with his abilities and needs, and with his dignity as a human being created by God. Actually, our dignity is to earn our daily bread, not to be given, but to work for it. And now the government should organize that everybody can access some job, and the main job actually should be farming. In a country like Kenya, maybe 90% of people should be farmers living from their own land. It has always been like that for many, many, many centuries. This is the human way of living. Not to accumulate people in big cities where there is no bread for them, you know, even no job for all of them. And now you just increase criminality, where most of these people, they should be up country working in their chamber. This is how it should be. But now everybody wants to be in Nairobi because of 5G and I don't know what. But in a good social organization, you should have many cities actually in a country, many cities and many villages around this city, and the economic life should be spread everywhere, that you can have economical activities everywhere in the country, and not a concentration in very few cities. Now you should be a farmer living at 20, 30 minutes of a city, you know. And now you can live everywhere in the country and develop the country harmoniously, and not concentration of riches somewhere. And now nobody wants to stay behind, you know, to stay so far of the center of economic life. The state, as instrument of the common good, the government, has a duty to intervene in economic life for that purpose of the common good of either the group or of the individual. But man and his family always have priority over the state. The state is for the citizen, and not the citizen for the state. The state is there to make sure that all the citizens can have a peaceful life and eat enough and have a good economic life, and that the whole country can grow together in harmony. It means this is good when the government make roads to access everywhere. This is good because it is connecting the country. When it's bringing power somewhere, it is good. When building, of course, hospitals and schools, develop some cities with more economic life, that people around the city can benefit from this development. I think it's important to remember what is the goal of life. The goal of life is to go to heaven, and for that we need to have a good human life, a virtuous human life in this world. Now, the goal of life is not to become extremely wealthy. That is not the goal. The goal of life is to live a secure, happy life with your family. That's all. Of course, according to your background, according to your capacities, you can be a bit higher, a bit lower. But the goal is for everybody to live a life, to eat every day, to go to school, to be able to pay some expenses for health. This is the goal of life, that you can live a virtuous life. You are not pushed to misery. Now you are tempted to steal, or you are tempted to do wrong things to earn money because of misery. That should be avoided. But the life of a farmer who is living mostly on his land, eating his own food, going to the school around, it's a good life. And according to the politic philosophy, according to the doctrine of the church, it is a good life to be a farmer and to live of your own farm. And maybe not become extremely wealthy, but you are autonomous, you are independent, you exercise your freedom, your wisdom in your own land, and you develop yourself and you grow yourself. And for many, many centuries, men have been working to eat every day. And this is the goal of work. Capitalism is pushing us to accumulation of wealth that is somehow superfluous and unjust also. There must always be cooperation in the economic life between those who work and those who own. Of course, you will have always people who have this capacity to create a business and employ other people. It is right. It is normal. They are able, they know how to do, they have this gift, and they can employ many other people. But they have to do it with justice and respect, and not exploitation of other people. Or the government should not tax too much this private sector. People who have this ability to create a company, if they are overtaxed by the government, they cannot develop, they cannot employ other people, and everybody will collapse. Why is private ownership a right? Private ownership is a right because every man has a right to life and to all means necessary for the purposes of life. So you can see a right is always coming from a duty. Because God has given us this life, we have the duty to have a good life. It is our duty to live a good life. God doesn't want us to live a bad life. And because we have a duty, because we have a mission, because we have a vocation, we have the right also to possess what is necessary for our mission, for our duties. This is why, for us, we don't like to speak too much about rights. Because when you speak about a human right, you focus on the individual. But it is better to speak about duties. Because when you speak about duty, you focus on the global organization of the creation as God has organized it, when everybody has a mission. And because you have a mission, you have a right. You know, if a policeman can have a firearm, it's because he has a mission. He has a right because he has a duty. Without duty, there is no right. Our rights are always coming from duties. Because the Catechism is starting to say that it is normal that in a country, some goods, some properties have to be controlled by the government itself because they have a kind of strategic value, like the army. The army should not be private. It should belong to the government. It's dangerous if the army of a country is a private organization. Now the government is not controlling its own security. Of course, the police, the roads usually, the communication like post office, electricity can be strategic. And now the government can say, I don't allow private people to enter in this business because I want to control it for the common good. Because maybe if I leave a businessman to do that, he will not care for some part of the population who have no money. He will never bring electricity where people are not wealthy. But the government can make this sacrifice for the common good. Some kind of property can be under the control of the state or some parastatal organization. In order to preserve his life, man has a right to gain for himself and keep as his own those goods he needs for his subsistence. The possession of external goods indispensable to man's earthly existence, such as food, clothes, home, and similar things, is a natural right. But be careful with some communism, socialism, are somehow denying this human right. Even in our neighboring country in Tanzania, Julius Nyerere was a very pious Catholic president, an example in many aspects of his life, but maybe the doctrine was limiting too much the private property. It was a bit too much communist. And we know that communism doesn't help people to develop some virtues. If in the village all the crops are put together and shared, the lazy one will have as much as the hard worker. And that is not fair and not good, actually. Because people who are lazy can stay lazy and not take responsibility. And the Catechism says that it can be said that the recent distribution of wealth is not quite in accordance with the will of God. it cannot be pleasing to him that a small minority should enjoy an excess of property, while an overwhelming majority can hardly keep body and soul together. But it is right for the government to make sure that all citizens can access private property. But it is not right for the government to steal the private property of individuals. And it should be also a limit to the wealth of the big one, should not eat everything. And we should protect the right of the small one.